Hello, it is 586, week number 2. Welcome, we are here. So you are starting off your website, which is a big assignment. Eventually, you're just going to get it started this week. It's going to be a place, as you will read in the Google Doc with the assignment description, where all of your assignments, nearly all of your assignments for this course, will get embedded or linked on that website. So that's what you're going to do. The big picture of it is to build a class website to establish an online presence. Various schools, various districts have various platforms they do and don't require. This is going to be a good practice for putting all of your stuff in a place that you have control over and making it look the way that you want. So, discussion boards are kind of connected to it. Resources are definitely connected to it. And then the assignment is to make the website. So the first discussion board post is ways that you can get family engagement and student engagement with your class website, the importance of selecting content, and then also looking at possible downsides and different ways to improve your class website. Discussion board 2, you're looking at, this is really dry, isn't it? But this is what you want to know, I think. Ooh, my computer's giving me an error. That's more exciting. You're going to be looking at reading around parent-teacher relationships and how that affects student success. Spoiler alert, positive parent-teacher relationships improve student success. You're going to share a technique for building solid parent-teacher relationships. An example might be something like, I use Remind, a free messaging platform to keep parents updated on what we're doing and why. The why is actually, I think, more important. Our school, for my third grader, puts out a bi-weekly newsletter. And it's like 2 pages. And I work at the school, and I kind of skim it. What I wish they would do is just send little messages on Remind, like a photo and a sentence. Here's what we're learning and why. What I actually used to do in my last year in the classroom, I was teaching 2nd grade, and I was really pushing what teaching looked like. I think now, like 10 years later, a lot of classrooms are closer to where I was, but really like project-based learning, really giving students like big problems and giving them space to work together to figure it out, which is not a normal way of teaching in 2nd grade. Trying to mash up like various pieces of the curriculum because there's too much to cover. And students aren't just memorizing it the way I was doing, like, let me write stuff on the whiteboard and you copy notes and then we read a little bit and then you take a quiz on it. Their recall, not surprisingly, was very low. And so what comes to mind is I gave them a summative assessment on cardinal directions in 2nd grade, north, east, south, and west. They needed to know that as part of social studies, and just like everyone bombed it. Like we covered it. That day they took like a little quiz or a worksheet or whatever. Everyone did great on it, and then like a week later, nothing. So I was like, you know what? Like, this is an important thing for our 2nd graders to know. So thought, like, what are those music standards? Flipped through the California Content Standards. I was like, oh, here's all the stuff we're supposed to be teaching with music in 2nd grade. And too often, I felt the pressure of, well, I can't teach any of that because there's not enough time. Have you said this to yourself? There's not enough time in the day to cover stuff I wish I could be teaching. Music, PE, I mean, even science. I felt quite a bit of pressure for like reading, writing, and math. Because that's what was tested. That's what most of our faculty meetings were focused on. And so I looked at those music standards and was like, wait a minute. I need to be teaching all these, but the song we can be working on can actually be around cardinal directions. And then grabbed like some of the writing standards and actually being able to like write in rhymes, being able to write for an audience. Suddenly I had writing standards and these social studies standards that I needed to reteach and these music standards, all 3 coming together to write a song about cardinal directions. Which, by the way, is called Never Eat Soggy Waffles. It might still be on the YouTubes, as my mom calls it. Let me actually look about it. Let's try it together. YouTube.com. This is the part where you watch me do a YouTube search. Never eat soggy waffles. And Go Noodle has a song a year ago that's now number 1 random YouTube shorts about it. Is it still there? Oh, so many versions of Go Noodle with Never Eat Soggy Waffles. Maybe, yep, there it is. 17,000 views. What? Wow. From 9 years ago. Yeah, and it covered all of those standards. Anyway, the whole reason I bring all of these up, in addition to seeing recommended videos like I made 40 protein waffles to keep in my freezer, is that I was making a 1-minute video every day for parents because it was not the typical copy down what the teacher says, do a worksheet, get a multiple choice test, get your letter grade, move on to the next thing. It was outside of the norm. And so this is a very long way of explaining discussion board post number 2 around parent-teacher relationships, as I was intentional about explaining what we were doing and, more importantly, why we were doing that. So I made a YouTube video every day, and told the parents at back to school night, like, here's the channel, you'll get like a 1-minute video, and I legitimately did not go over 90 seconds ever. And also grabbed that link, threw it into Remind. Back then it might have been Remind 101, and said, wrote a song, worked on eighth notes, which by the way is also math, dividing whole into half, quarter, eighth, like it's 4 different content areas and at least 4 different standards. Looking at eighth notes, writing for an audience, looking at cardinal directions still, and whatever. So would share that every day. And at the end, those parents were like my greatest allies. I had other colleagues doing similar things across the country. This was back when Twitter was kind of raging for educators and just like a place where we were all finding each other's and trying to figure out kind of what's possible with technology in classrooms, really trying to make things more student-centered, more engaging, and a lot of friends on the Twitters. My mom adds an S to stuff, the YouTubes, the Twitters, although she calls it face page, which is interesting. A lot of them are like, oh, like parents are complaining all over the place because, we're doing this project, and they're like, what about the learning? And I was like, am I just really lucky? And I think actually, looking back 10 years now, parent-teacher relationships and saying like, here's what your kids are doing, here's why they're doing it, with a very short, accessible video link, whatever, really got them on board, and they understood what we were doing and why we were doing it, and they were just like, this is amazing. And so I think that's not to be underestimated. So if you're trying to do more innovative things, you for sure want to be communicating with the parents, but also I think communicating with them in an easily digestible way, where me now in 2024, I can look at the clock as though, oh, it's 2024. It does not tell me. Getting like a 2-page thing to read about what 3rd grade's doing. It's like, dude, just tell me like multiplying 2s and 4s. Check. Send it to me in Remind so I can just get it on the app or in a text message with a single photo. Like, check, done. Personally, that's what works for me. There's just so much to do. I'm guessing you don't have extra time. So, key resources for week 2. Moving on. You're clearly going to be building your own website for this course. Google Sites is for sure the easiest way. You have a Google account. Some people love Weebly. Canva recently decided to start doing websites. It's not as intuitive to build kind of a classic website with different pages. But if you know Canva, that's a promising and beautiful way to make anything, including web pages. So, resource for this week, look at designing a website for your class, obviously applicable. Best website builders for teachers, obviously applicable. This is like such a clickbaity title, but it's useful. 10 excellent platforms to create your website or blog, applicable. And then there's another resource around looking at parent-teacher relationships and strategies to enhance communication and collaboration, always with kind of an end goal of making students more successful. So encourage you to dive deep into these tools. Take a look. You're going to decide on the one you want this week. That's due Sunday by midnight. And you're going to take your week 1 assignment and actually embed that in. So make sure whatever you pick, you're able to embed your assignment from week 1 into the website. And you're going to do that from week 2 all the way to the course ends in week 8. So that's what I've got for you. If you have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, happy week 2, everybody.